Hello, my name is Simon, and the strategies I'll be presenting on are behaviourism and constructivism. Behaviourism, as described by Wang, Fong and Quan, is the theoretical perspective in which learning and behaviour are described and explained in terms of stimulus-response relationships. As opposed to emotions, thoughts and feelings, behaviourism is primarily concerned with observable behaviour that is a result of external stimulus. Two of the key components of behaviourist theory are classical and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning occurs when two stimuli are presented together. One unconditioned stimulus elicits an instinctive response, and the second conditioned stimulus begins to elicit a similar response based on association. The origins of the theory emerged with the now classic experiment carried out by Russian scientist Ivan Pavlov, known as Pavlov's dogs. McSweeney and Murphy observed, Pavlovian conditioning is most clearly defined and constrained by its method, which involves maintaining strict control over the presentation of stimuli. In contrast to classical conditioning, operant conditioning is a process of learning in which observable behaviours are altered due to the specific consequences they exact. Operant conditioning relies upon behaviours that precede the stimulus or consequence. With regard to classroom management and altering individual student behaviour, it is operant conditioning that can be most effective. Further to this, Omrod asserts, people are more likely to learn and exhibit behaviours that bring about certain kinds of consequences. In the classroom, it is important that teachers encourage students to associate their learning with positive emotional experiences. Operant conditioning can support classroom behaviour management through the use of regular repeated responses to particular behaviours. Negative reinforcement refers to achieving desired behaviours by the removal of an aversive stimulus such as extended leisure time in the classroom or access to a particular object. Positive reinforcement refers to the introduction of a consequence in response to the increased behaviour of the student. This is usually an object of value to the learner, such as a high score on a test or a word of encouragement. According to Brooks, some researchers suggest emotions impact our lives even more strongly than does reason. Thus, the use of classical conditioning can also help in fostering desired behaviours of students via the emotional responses that they may have to positive environments. Creating a nurturing and personalised classroom can help students associate their learning with positivity, as stated by Egan and Kolchak. Ideally, we all want our students to have positive emotional reactions to us, our classrooms, and the work that they do. Constructivism is a term used to describe a theory of learning that suggests students generate knowledge from their own individual experience. Learners interact with sensory data and each other socially to acquire experiential knowledge and construct meaning. The theory proposes that students build upon their prior knowledge by developing cognitive processes known as schemas that assist in defining the individual's understanding of concepts. Piaget defined a schema as a cohesive, repeatable action sequence possessing component actions that are tightly interconnected and governed by a core meaning. Inquiry and collaborative learning methods can be considered as appropriate strategies in a constructivist classroom as the focus of these models shifts from the instructor and places the emphasis on the student. As learners examine topics via a host of different resources, they explore solutions to problems and arrive at their own conclusions. After further examination of the new knowledge they've acquired, these conclusions are revisited and the exploration continues. As stated by Keane et al., exploration of questions leads to more questions. Collaborative inquiry methods can provide a contextual environment for learners, as students engage in conversation and actively involve themselves in the application of acquired knowledge. As Hine observed, learning is a social activity, and further to this, we learn in relationship to what else we know, what we believe, our prejudices, and our fears. Naturally, the environment in which this learning takes place is a critical factor in the constructivist approach. Constructivism fosters the idea that students learn from prior experiences, each other, and in the surrounding environment that Wilson describes as a place where learners may work together and support each other as they use a variety of tools and information, resources in their guided pursuit of learning goals and problem-solving activities. Hayne asserts that, if we believe that knowledge consists of learning about the real world out there, then we endeavour first and foremost to understand that world, organise it in the most rational way possible, and, as teachers, present it to the learner.